The hum of the space station filled the human's ears as he stepped off the shuttle. Stars stretched endlessly outside the large observation windows, and ships of every shape and color drifted through the docking lanes. He had seen space before, but every time it still amazed him. The endless darkness dotted with sparkling light like jewels scattered across black velvet. But he didn't have time to admire the view. There was work to do. His name was Kale, a skilled human mechanic. Humans were rare here. On a station dominated by alien civilizations, most species didn't trust humans much. They saw them as small, fragile, and, honestly, unpredictable. Kale, however, had a reputation. He could fix things no one else could. From intricate starship engines to delicate alien fabrics, his hands worked with a precision that many admired or envied. Today, he had been called for a task unlike any other. A high-ranking alien princess had damaged her ceremonial dress during a diplomatic event. Kale didn't fully understand the nuances of alien aristocracy, but he did know one thing. This job required absolute care. One wrong stitch or a torn seam could insult the station's most influential figures. He entered the designated room, a large chamber filled with golden light and delicate fabrics. The dress lay across a long table, shimmering with an alien iridescence. The material seemed alive, subtly shifting colors like a liquid rainbow. It was beautiful but incredibly delicate. And then he noticed her. The princess stood near a wide window, her tall figure framed by the glowing stars outside. Her skin was pale but luminous like polished pearl, and her eyes were large, golden, and intelligent. She moved with a grace that made every step seem like a dance, yet there was a tension beneath her poise, as if she were always ready to spring into action. Kale felt her gaze before she spoke. "Careful, human, I bite." Her voice was soft but carried authority, a mixture of amusement and warning. Kale blinked. He had expected scrutiny, but this felt different. It was playful and sharp at the same time, a reminder that while she allowed him in her space, she was not to be underestimated. Kale nodded politely, not wanting to offend. "I'll be careful, princess," he said. His voice sounded steadier than he felt. He had dealt with complicated repairs before, but this was different. Here, one mistake wasn't just a mechanical failure. It could have political consequences. He knelt beside the table, examining the fabric closely. It was unlike anything he had repaired before. Thin yet strong, soft yet resistant. The dress had been ripped slightly at the seam near the shoulder, likely from her movement during the event. Kale traced the edge with his fingers, noting the intricate stitching patterns. Every thread seemed to follow a precise design, not just decoration but a symbol of her status and heritage. The princess watched him silently, arms crossed. She tilted her head slightly, curious. Her presence was commanding, yet she didn't hover. Kale felt the weight of her gaze but forced himself to focus on the task. He picked up a tiny needle and thread, holding them carefully between his fingers. The work required patience. One false move could leave a visible mark. Kale's hands moved slowly, almost reverently, as he began to repair the tear. The thread passed smoothly through the material, almost as if the fabric welcomed his touch. Most humans would have ruined this in the first few minutes, the princess said, her voice light but teasing. Yet you seem unafraid. Kyle glanced up, offering a small smile. "Fear won't fix it," he replied. "Patience and care will." Her lips curved slightly, but her eyes never left him. There was an intensity there that made him uneasy. He wasn't used to being observed like this. In his own world, humans often worked alone or among peers who trusted them. Here, every movement was under scrutiny, not just for skill but for judgment. He reminded himself to keep his mind on the task. Hours passed quietly. Kale's hands moved with precision, stitching, adjusting, and reinforcing the fabric. The princess occasionally spoke, commenting on details he hadn't noticed. The left shoulder seam. It should align with the curve of the collarbone. Yes, like that, but gentler. Her guidance was subtle, almost like a game. She didn't take the needle from him. She didn't touch the dress herself. Instead, she observed, challenging him without interference. Kale realized that her comments were not criticism. They were tests. She wanted to see if he could handle pressure, if he could adapt to alien standards, if he could think critically without being told every step. The more he worked, the more he noticed the little details that made her dress unique. Tiny luminescent threads ran through the fabric, catching light with every movement. Small, delicate patterns seemed almost alive, forming shapes that shifted depending on the angle. He had never seen anything like it. This was not just clothing, it was a piece of art, a reflection of her people's culture and refinement. Impressive, she said suddenly. You noticed the little things. Cale felt a flicker of pride but kept his focus. Details matter, he replied simply. She leaned slightly closer, her gaze softening, though her posture remained elegant and guarded. Most humans are too rough. They either break things or panic. You are different. Cale's fingers hesitated for a moment. He hadn't expected praise. On his homeworld, humans often went unnoticed, especially in a place filled with beings far stronger, faster, and more intelligent. Yet here, his skill earned respect, from someone who could crush him with a gesture if she wanted. A subtle tension developed between them, neither spoken nor acted upon. Kyle could feel it in the way she watched him, the way her eyes followed his every movement. It was a mixture of curiosity, amusement, and caution. Finally, after what felt like hours, the last thread was tucked neatly into the seam. The tear was gone, the pattern restored perfectly. Cale sat back, rubbing his sore fingers. He glanced up at her, wondering if she would approve. She stepped closer, inspecting the work. Her golden eyes scanned every stitch, every fold, every detail. After a long pause, she smiled. Small but genuine. Perfect, she said. I should have expected nothing less. Cale exhaled in relief. Thank you, Princess. It was an honor to work on it. Her gaze lingered on him for a moment longer. Then she stepped back, her expression unreadable. Careful, human. I might actually bite next time, she teased again, though her tone carried warmth this time, just barely noticeable. Cale couldn't help but smile. He didn't fully understand the subtleties of her humor, but he sensed that she trusted him more than most in her world. As he packed up his tools, she turned and walked toward the window. The stars reflected in her eyes, and for a moment, Kyle felt that he was seeing something deeply personal beneath her regal exterior. She was not just a princess, she was a being carrying responsibilities, expectations, and perhaps loneliness. Cale left the chamber quietly, but as he walked down the corridor, he noticed something small on the table, a delicate pendant he had not seen before. It was shaped like a star, glowing softly. He picked it up carefully, wondering if it had been left for him intentionally. The princess had not mentioned it, and when he looked back, she was gone. That night, Kyle couldn't stop thinking about the encounter. The stars outside the station seemed brighter, the hum of machinery more comforting. He knew this was only the beginning. The human mechanic and the alien princess had crossed paths for the first time, and something told him that their story was far from over. Outside, the stars continued to shine, indifferent yet constant, as if bearing witness to the start of an unlikely friendship, one that might challenge expectations, cross cultural boundaries, and perhaps change both their worlds forever. The next morning, Cale returned to the space station's central workshop. His tools were already set out, neatly arranged as if waiting for him. The pendant the princess had left on the table glowed softly in his pocket, a constant reminder that his encounter with her was not ordinary. He had barely unpacked when a message appeared on his holoscreen. It was brief, elegant, and unmistakably from the princess. Your work yesterday pleased me. Return to my quarters. There is more to discuss, Cale paused. More to discuss? He muttered to himself. He had expected his task to be over once the dress was repaired, yet here he was being summoned back into her presence. Curiosity and a hint of nervousness pushed him forward. When he arrived, the princess was already there, standing beside the shimmering window that looked out into the docking lanes. Today she wore a simpler garment, less ceremonial but still elegant. Her golden eyes met his, sharp and inquisitive. Sit, human, she said, her tone commanding yet inviting. I have observed your work and your patience. Very few can manage both skill and calm under pressure. That alone makes you interesting. Cale hesitated, then bowed slightly before taking a seat. Thank you, princess. I only do what I can. She smiled faintly, a small curve of her lips that held both amusement and challenge. Your modesty is unusual. Most humans I have met are either too proud or too timid. You balance on the line between them. Cale chuckled softly. I suppose that's my nature. Careful when it matters, bold when necessary. The princess stepped closer, inspecting a delicate ornamental thread woven into her new dress. Boldness can be dangerous, carelessness fatal. Yet somehow you seem neither careless nor foolishly bold. Explain that. Kale considered her words carefully. Experience teaches patience, he replied. And respect teaches caution. I don't assume what I do will be accepted or understood, so I try to do it right the first time. Her eyes flickered, a hint of surprise showing beneath her composure. Perhaps humans are not so predictable after all, she mused. I expected mistakes, but you adapt. For a moment the room was quiet except for the distant hum of the space station. Then she leaned slightly closer, lowering her voice. There is more than skill here, isn't there, human? You notice details that others ignore, and you sense the unspoken. If you do, tell me. Why? Kale paused, thinking carefully. I guess I pay attention because I want to understand. If I don't notice, I can't fix, and if I can't fix, I fail. Understanding matters more than pride. The princess studied him, her golden eyes sharp yet curious. Your words are strange, human. You value understanding over status, over praise, that is rare in this galaxy. They worked in silence for some time, Kale repairing small ornamental clasps on her dress, while the princess watched him with keen interest. Occasionally, she offered observations, each subtle and precise. The curve here, it must follow the line of the shoulder, not just for beauty but for movement. You see? Kyle nodded. Yes, princess. I can adjust it. Her gaze lingered on him. Few notice such things. Most are either clumsy or arrogant. You are careful. Her words were both a compliment and a test. Kale realized that she measured not only his skill but his patience, his respect, and perhaps even his character. Unlike others, she did not order him around or interfere unnecessarily. She observed, guiding subtly, letting him prove himself. As the hours passed, the atmosphere shifted from formal to strangely personal. The princess occasionally asked about his life, small questions that revealed more than they seemed. Human, you work alone, yet you seem satisfied. Why? Kale smiled, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead. I like the work itself. I like solving problems, and I like seeing results that others can use or enjoy. That gives meaning. The princess considered him for a moment. Meaning? Humans find meaning in small things. I see. We often forget that. A soft laugh escaped her lips, almost musical. Kale hadn't expected laughter in such a formal setting, yet it made the room warmer, more personal. He realized that beneath her regal exterior she was curious, playful, and even a little lonely. Careful, human. You are learning too much about me, she teased, her voice carrying the faintest edge of warning. Do not mistake curiosity for trust. One wrong step and I might bite. Kale chuckled. I will be careful, princess. But I hope your bites are only metaphorical. Her eyes sparkled, and for the first time, Kale felt that the princess was testing more than just his skills. She was testing his composure, his courage, and perhaps his respect for her boundaries. Suddenly, an alert sounded from the station's central security. Red lights blinked faintly through the large window, reflecting off her golden eyes. The princess's expression shifted instantly from playful to serious. Something is happening, she said sharply. The station's security network shows unauthorized access near the diplomatic sector. I must investigate. Stay here, human. Do not interfere unless I call. Kyle nodded. Understood, but he did not move. The pendant in his pocket glowed faintly, a reminder of the trust or perhaps curiosity she had shown him. His instincts told him that danger might come, and that she might need more than her guards to handle it. Yet he waited, patient as always, respecting her command. Minutes passed, tension building. The station's lights dimmed slightly as security teams rushed past the corridors. Kyle could hear the distant murmur of alarms and alien voices speaking in languages he didn't understand. He felt a strange sense of anticipation, as if the calm before a storm had settled over the station. Finally, the princess returned, her steps purposeful but controlled. She had changed garments, armor-like clothing designed for both mobility and protection. Her elegance remained even in combat-ready attire. You did well to stay, she said, her tone softening slightly. Many would have panicked or interfered. Humans. You are unexpectedly disciplined. Kale shrugged modestly. I trust you know what to do, princess. I only act when necessary. Her expression softened, though her golden eyes remained sharp. Good, that is appreciated. The moment passed, and they returned to the repaired dress. The atmosphere had changed. playful teasing replaced by quiet respect. Kale noticed that her initial warnings, her playful "I bite," were not threats but invitations to understand her, to earn her trust. By the end of the day, the dress was fully repaired. Every seam, every clasp, every subtle pattern was restored perfectly. The princess inspected it closely, her gaze lingering on the smallest details. Then she turned to Kale, her expression unreadable for a moment before a small smile appeared. "Perfect," she said simply. "You have done more than repair a dress. You have understood it. That is rare." Kale bowed slightly. "Thank you, princess. I only followed what I saw." Her golden eyes softened, though still sharp with intelligence. "Perhaps humans are not as fragile as I expected. Perhaps you can endure more than most." Kale felt a quiet pride, not in himself but in the mutual understanding that had begun to grow between them. They had begun to communicate in unspoken ways through observation, patience, and respect. Before he left, she handed him a small, folded note. The handwriting was delicate, precise, almost like the stitches he had worked on. He unfolded it carefully. "Your work today has earned my curiosity. Be prepared. There may be more challenges ahead, and perhaps you may find yourself tested in ways beyond fabric and thread." Kale folded the note slowly, a small smile forming. He had a feeling that the challenges she hinted at would not be easy. Yet he felt ready. More importantly, he felt that he was no longer just a human on a foreign station. He had become someone trusted, someone capable of navigating this strange, dangerous, and beautiful world. As he walked back to his quarters, Kale thought of the princess, her teasing, her golden eyes, and her quiet tests. He realized that their connection, however unusual, was forming slowly, built on respect, observation, and shared experiences. And deep down, he knew that whatever challenges awaited them, he would face them, not just as a mechanic, but as someone who had begun to understand the strength, intelligence, and complexity of an alien princess. The stars outside the station glimmered like tiny beacons, and Kale felt a quiet anticipation. This was only the beginning of their story, and he was ready to follow wherever it led, careful, attentive, and perhaps prepared for a metaphorical bite. The calm of the space station shattered the next morning. Kale had barely finished his breakfast in the small human quarters when alarms blared throughout the corridors. Red lights flashed, bathing the walls in a harsh glow. Automated announcements in multiple alien languages repeated, warning of a security breach near the diplomatic sector. Kale's pulse quickened. He had not expected this. Humans were not usually involved in the station's political matters, let alone a security crisis. But the pendant the princess had left in his pocket seemed to pulse faintly. As if urging him forward, before he could decide what to do, a message arrived on his holoscreen, direct and urgent. "Human, I need you. Come to my quarters immediately. Trust no one outside." Kale didn't hesitate. He grabbed his tools, packed them quickly, and ran through the corridors toward the princess's quarters. The station was alive with chaos. Guards rushing past, alien voices shouting orders, and blinking warning lights creating a strobe effect. When he arrived, the princess was already waiting, her posture tense yet controlled. Her ceremonial elegance was gone, replaced by lightweight armor designed for mobility. She moved with precision, every motion calculated, every glance alert. "You came quickly," she said, her golden eyes scanning the hallway. "Good, you may be useful after all, human." Kale nodded, though his chest pounded. "What's happening, princess?" "An unauthorized faction has infiltrated the station," she replied sharply. "They seek to destabilize the diplomatic council. I have guards, but I cannot trust them completely. Some may be compromised. I need someone who can think differently, act quickly, and survive." Kale's stomach tightened. "You want me to help you?" "Yes," she said without hesitation, and no hesitation can be shown. "Follow me and do exactly as I say." The two of them moved through the twisting corridors, avoiding security checkpoints and surveillance drones. Kale noticed the princess's calm under pressure, her every decision precise and deliberate. He realized she was not only a skilled leader but also trained to survive situations far more dangerous than he had ever faced. "Stay close," she instructed, her voice low. "This is not a place for mistakes. One wrong step and we may not survive." Kyle obeyed, his eyes scanning the corridors for any signs of threat. He noticed that some doors were sealed and guards moved in small groups, unaware of their presence. They passed quietly, Kyle following her lead, careful to mirror her movements. After several tense minutes, they reached a maintenance hatch leading to the diplomatic sector. The princess knelt and began to override the security panel. Kale watched, fascinated by the speed and efficiency of her actions. "Impressive," he whispered. Her eyes flicked to him. "Focus, human. You will need to adapt as we move. Pay attention and survive." The hatch opened silently and they slipped into a side corridor. Ahead, faint voices and footsteps suggested that their target, an unknown intruder, was near. The princess paused, listening carefully. "They have split into 2 teams," she said. "One patrols the main hall. The other is trying to access the council chamber." Kale nodded, trying to memorize every detail. His mind raced. If she was counting on him, he couldn't fail. He remembered every lesson from repairing her dress: patience, observation, and careful movement. Now those same skills mattered more than ever. They moved forward cautiously, using shadows and corners as cover. The princess whispered instructions, guiding Kale through unfamiliar alien technology, telling him which doors to override and which corridors to avoid. Kale followed without question, adapting quickly to the situation. Suddenly, a figure appeared at the end of the corridor, a tall, armored alien, scanning with a weapon in hand. The princess froze, her golden eyes narrowing. "Stay behind me," she whispered. Kyle's heart raced, but he trusted her. The intruder advanced slowly, unaware of their presence. The princess moved with incredible speed, silently disarming the alien with a precise strike. Kale watched, awed. In that instant, he realized she was not only powerful but trained to handle threats far beyond human capability. "Your turn," she said calmly, handing him a small tool. "This will override the security lock ahead. Do it quickly." Kale's hands moved steadily, recalling the intricate repairs he had done for her dress. Precision and patience were his strengths. Within moments, the lock disengaged and the door slid open. "Good," she said. "Now we move." They entered the council chamber. The room was empty, but signs of recent activity were everywhere. Overturned chairs, scattered data pads, and a faint scent of alien energy. Kale's senses sharpened, remembering every detail of her instructions. Suddenly, alarms blared again. A group of intruders appeared at the far end, armed and ready. The princess raised her hand. "Stay behind me. Observe, then act." Kale did as instructed, watching her movements carefully. She fought with precision, striking only where necessary, disarming without lethal force when possible. Her strength was extraordinary, but it was her intelligence that impressed him most. She predicted each move, countered every attack, and never wasted energy. When a moment came to act, she handed Kale a small device. "Use it now," she instructed. Kale activated it. The device emitted a high-frequency pulse that temporarily disabled the intruder's weapons. The princess took advantage of the moment, moving quickly to neutralize them. Kale's hands shook slightly, but he followed her lead, realizing that his quick thinking had made a difference. After the last intruder was subdued, the princess exhaled, her posture relaxing slightly. "You performed well, human," she said. "Better than I expected." Kale wiped sweat from his brow. "I just followed your instructions." She studied him carefully. "No, you adapted. You observed. You survived. That is rare. Most would have panicked, made mistakes, or fled. You did not." Her words filled him with a quiet pride. For the first time, Kale felt that his human skills, small, delicate, and often underestimated, were valued in a world far larger and more dangerous than he had ever imagined. The room grew quiet, and the princess walked over to a console, checking the security systems. Kale noticed her eyes soften slightly as she glanced at him. "I owe you a warning," she said. "The danger is not over. The faction will attempt another strike. You must be ready to move quickly, always observing, always adapting." Kale nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. "I will be ready, princess." For a moment, silence hung between them. Then she turned, a small smile forming on her lips. "You know, most humans would be frightened, overwhelmed. Yet you seem calm. That is unusual. Perhaps there is more to your kind than I assumed." Kyle smiled faintly. "We humans survive by learning, princess, and by trusting those who guide us when we need it." Her golden eyes studied him closely. "Trust, yes. That is earned. You have done well to earn a small measure of mine." Before Kale could respond, another alert flashed. The intruders were regrouping, attempting to breach a different part of the station. The princess's expression hardened. "We must move," she said. "The council must be protected. Are you ready, human?" Kale squared his shoulders. "Ready." Together they moved through the corridors again, a perfect team. The princess led with skill and precision, Kyle following, observing, and acting when necessary. Each step built trust, each challenge strengthened their bond. And Kale began to realize that he was no longer merely a mechanic. He was an ally, someone capable of surviving and contributing in ways he had never imagined. By the time the immediate danger had passed, the station's security was restored. The princess and Kale returned to her quarters, both exhausted but alive. She inspected the repaired dress once more, a gesture that felt strangely comforting amidst the chaos. "You were remarkable today, human," she said softly. "Not just in skill, but in courage, patience, and observation. You have earned more than respect. You have earned trust." Kyle felt a warmth in his chest. "Thank you, princess. I only did what I could." She smiled faintly, her golden eyes glimmering with a mix of amusement and admiration. "Perhaps next time, I will allow you to witness the entire process from start to finish. And be careful. I warned you once before, my bites can be literal and figurative. You survived the first. Let us see about the next." Kale chuckled, understanding her words. She was not only teasing him but also signaling that their partnership, and whatever challenges lay ahead, was far from over. The stars outside the window glimmered, constant and bright. For Kale, they now symbolized not just the infinite universe, but the beginning of an unexpected journey, a journey where skill, courage, and trust would shape his place in a galaxy filled with danger, intrigue, and the mysterious golden-eyed princess who had first tested him with a simple phrase, "Careful, human. I bite." The station had returned to its usual rhythm, but Kale and the princess both knew that things had changed. The calm corridors now felt different, alive with the memory of danger averted and challenges faced together. Kale walked toward her quarters, pendant glowing faintly in his pocket, a constant reminder of the trust and connection forming between them. When he arrived, the princess was already there, examining her ceremonial dress once again. She turned as he entered, golden eyes softening at the sight of him. "You return," she said, a faint smile playing on her lips. "Good, there is much to discuss." Kyle nodded, approaching carefully. "Princess, I didn't expect to be involved like this, but I'm glad I could help." She studied him closely, her gaze sharp yet warm. Most humans would have faltered. Most would have panicked, or failed to notice the subtleties that make survival possible in this world. "You did not," Kyle shrugged modestly. "I just followed what I saw and what I was taught. Observation, patience, careful action. That's what I do." Her smile widened slightly. "And yet you did more than follow instructions. You adapted. You thought for yourself. You surprised me." Kale felt a quiet pride. He had always believed that humans, though small and fragile in many ways, had unique strengths. Observation, patience, problem-solving, and now he realized those same traits could make him valued in worlds far beyond his own. The princess walked closer, inspecting the repaired dress once more. "You have proven skill, yes, but also character. Courage, calm under pressure, and an ability to adapt. These qualities are rare, human, and yet you possess them." Kyle met her gaze, his heart steady. "Thank you, princess. I only did what I could as best as I could." Her golden eyes softened, though still filled with a sharp intelligence. "Perhaps that is what impresses me most. You do not assume, you do not boast, yet your actions speak louder than words ever could." For a moment the room was quiet, filled only with the faint hum of the station and the soft glow of the pendant in Kyle's pocket. The weight of the past challenges and shared danger hung in the air, a silent bond forming between them. Finally she spoke, her tone lighter, teasing once more. "Careful, human. I warned you before, yet you still survive. Perhaps next time I will bite." Kyle chuckled, feeling a sense of ease for the first time since meeting her. "I'll be ready, princess. Whether literal or metaphorical, I think I can handle it." Her golden eyes sparkled, and for the first time her playful warning felt genuine warmth rather than a test. Kyle realized that their relationship had shifted. Trust had been earned, respect mutual, and a connection formed that neither could ignore. She turned back to the dress, smoothing the delicate fabric with practiced hands. "The council will meet soon. Your skills ensured that nothing was compromised. You have made a difference today, human. Not just with your hands, but with your mind, your patience, and your courage. Kyle nodded, humbled by her words. I only hope I can continue to help if needed. She glanced at him, her expression thoughtful. Perhaps there will be more challenges. And perhaps you will be by my side. That is uncharted territory for both of us. Kyle felt a quiet determination. I'm ready for it, Princess. Whatever comes, I'll do my best. Her lips curved into a small, approving smile. Good, that is rare. Most beings I encounter rely on strength or status. You'd rely on careful thought and respect. Theric is worth more than you know. The two of them stood together in silence, a comfortable quiet filled with unspoken understanding. Kale felt that he was no longer just a human visitor in an alien world. He had become someone trusted, someone capable, and someone important to her. Suddenly, a soft chime echoed from her console. A report from the council confirmed that all remaining threats had been neutralized. The station was secure. The crisis had passed. The princess exhaled, her posture relaxing slightly. It is done, she said. And yet, I feel that this is only the beginning. Humans are unpredictable, you may continue to surprise me. Kyle smiled faintly. I hope so, Princess. I hope I can continue to learn and help. Her gaze lingered on him, warm but still cautious. You have already learned much. You have adapted, observed, survived, and earned a measure of trust I do not give lightly. That is significant. Kyle felt a quiet pride. He had faced danger, followed instructions, adapted to unfamiliar worlds, and survived. And through it all, he had earned the respect of someone far stronger and wiser than himself. The princess turned, walking toward the large observation window. Outside, stars stretched endlessly, distant yet dazzling. Kyle followed, feeling that same sense of wonder he had felt when he first arrived on the station, but now tempered with understanding. This galaxy was vast, full of dangers and challenges, but also full of opportunity, trust, and connection. She spoke softly, almost to herself. Careful, human, I bite. Yet you have not only survived, you have earned more than mere survival. Perhaps respect, perhaps even friendship. Kale felt a warmth in his chest. I would consider it an honor, Princess. For a long moment they both gazed at the stars, the silence speaking volumes. Danger had passed, but the bond between them remained. A bond forged through trust, respect, and shared experience. Finally, the princess spoke again, her tone light and teasing but edged with sincerity. Perhaps next time, human, I will allow you to witness more than just repairs and crises. You may see the world as it truly is, through eyes not your own. Kyle smiled, understanding her meaning. I would like that, Princess. And I will be careful. But I hope, perhaps you might bite gently. Her lips curved in a small, genuine smile. Perhaps. And perhaps you would survive it, human. Kale laughed quietly, feeling the tension of the past days melt away. He realized that the princess's warning, her teasing, and her challenges were not threats. They were invitations. Invitations to learn, to grow, to connect, and perhaps to become more than either had expected. As the station lights dimmed for the cycle of rest, Kale packed his tools and prepared to leave. The princess watched him go, her golden eyes thoughtful and warm. She had tested him, challenged him, and allowed him to prove himself, not just as a mechanic, but as someone capable of courage, patience, and understanding. Kyle paused at the door, turning back once. Princess, thank you for trusting me and for letting me be part of this. She nodded slightly, her gaze softening. You are welcome, human. And be careful. Not all challenges are solved with skill alone. Sometimes, observation, patience, and courage are what will keep you alive. Kyle smiled, feeling a quiet confidence. I will remember, Princess. As he stepped into the corridor, the stars outside seemed to shine even brighter, reflecting the unspoken promise between them. A human, small and often underestimated, had not only survived in a dangerous alien world, but had earned respect, trust, and perhaps the beginning of a remarkable bond. The princess watched him disappear into the corridor, a faint smile still on her lips. Careful, human. I bite, she murmured again, though this time her voice carried warmth, amusement, and perhaps even affection. Kale's journey in this world was far from over. He had faced danger, adapted, and survived. But more than that, he had earned a connection that few humans could imagine. A connection with a golden-eyed princess who had first tested him with a simple phrase and had now allowed him into her world in a way few could. And as the station settled into quiet once more, Cale knew one thing with certainty. Wherever the challenges of this galaxy would lead, he would face them, not just as a human mechanic but as someone trusted, respected, and perhaps even understood in ways he had never imagined. The stars outside continued to shine, distant and constant, a reminder that in the vast universe courage, skill, and trust could bridge worlds, and that the bond between a human and a princess, forged in danger and tempered by respect, might just be the beginning of an extraordinary story.